Hello, and welcome to the Rpk Podcast. My name is Ryan Carlin. With me on the show, I have my dad, Marty Carlin, and today we will be talking about all the sporting events we have been to through the years and the unique stories we have from these events. The Cubs World Series, the Blackhawks Stanley Cup, and 4 Super Bowls. So, I think we should start talking about the Cubs World Series game. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, that was incredible. The Cubs hadn't won the World Series in 108 years. And it was in Cleveland. They won it in extra innings. And probably the most unique thing about that game was at the end. When we were leaving, we went to the elevator to go down to see the players more closer on the field. Mm-hmm. And we run into Tom Rickett, who's basically crying. He's the owner of the Cubs. Mm-hmm. And so I gave him a nice hug, and I said, "You did good, Tom." And he's like, "Thank you." And then he got on the elevator and went down and was handed the trophy. So that was pretty amazing that we just, on a fluke, ran into him.
Yeah, and it was a great game with the rain delay. I don't think who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, I think that rain delay actually helped the Cubs because Cleveland looked like they were gaining and, going in the locker room for like 20 minutes. They had a chance to sort of regroup, and they came out and won it in extra innings.
They pulled it off.
Yeah, that was quite the game. Next, let's talk about that Blackhawks Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that was a great time.
So in 2015, it was Game 6. We got a skybox. And shared it, with a bunch of friends. And the Hawks ended up winning that game 2-0 at the United Center, the only Stanley Cup they've ever won at the United Center. So that was, we didn't run into, Rocky Wirtz or anything, but we could have.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Super Bowls a little bit?
Yeah. So we've been to 4 Super Bowls. We've been to the Super Bowl in Arizona, San Francisco, Houston, and Atlanta. And those were all really good games. I mean, the Arizona and Houston one were the best games.
Oh, for sure. Arizona was Super Bowl 49. And at the end of the game, if you remember, Seattle had the ball at like the 2-yard line and decided to go ahead and throw it right into the New England guys to intercept it instead of running the ball. And so they ended up winning, with a couple seconds left. And it was even funnier after New England got the ball back and just had to take a knee. The two teams started fighting, and we were in the first row of the end zone, right where all this took place. And I yelled out. There was a New England guy and a Seattle guy fighting, and I yelled out, "Hey, I came to watch a football game, not a hockey game." And the New England lineman who was there started cracking up as he was shoving the guy around. So that was a pretty unique thing. Also, if you remember, at the beginning of the game, we were under the stands where there was a buffet and stuff, and there was a piano.
Yes.
So me and you started sort of playing with the piano.
We were playing like chopsticks on the piano.
And then finally, someone from security came over and said, you can't be playing on that piano. We're like, oh, okay. And then sure enough, we go to our seat, and they roll the piano out onto the field, and John Legend did God Bless America on that piano. What are the odds?
But then one more other thing also happened when I went to the bathroom, and there was like a little bathroom next to the field, and I go to the bathroom, and all the Seattle Seahawks start running off the field.
Right. Yep. You were high-fiving them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. The second Super Bowl was in San Francisco. It was Super Bowl 50. It was Denver against Carolina. It really wasn't that great of a game.
Peyton Manning won.
It was. Yeah, that was the great thing about it. But it was still a fun game. The next Super Bowl was Super Bowl 51, which, for people who know, New England once again was in that one, and they were down 28-3 in the third quarter, And all of a sudden, I see these two guys walking up who had New England or Tom Brady jerseys on. And I said, "What, are you guys leaving?" And they're like, "Yeah, this game's over." Well, New England ended up coming back and winning that game 34-28. In overtime. So I think that's the only overtime Super Bowl ever.
Yes, it was the only one.
Yeah. So that was just an incredible, and I kept looking down the aisle thinking these guys were going to come back, but I have a feeling they left the stadium, and once you're out, you're not coming back.
And they're probably yelling at each other in the car, like, "You idiot, what are you doing, you?"
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they were kicking themselves. Then the last Super Bowl we went to was in Atlanta. It was Super Bowl.
But in Houston, there was a funny story.
Oh.
We ran into John Legend's band.
Oh, that's right.
So
back to the piano that we were playing in Super Bowl 49. And we were staying at a hotel, and there was a band staying there. And I finally asked the guys, I said, "Who are you a band for?" And they said, "Oh, we're John Legend's band." He was, I guess, doing some concerts in town or whatever. And I said, "Really?" And so I told them about the piano, and they were just cracking up. He said, because John Legend said that piano seemed out of tune a little bit. So once again, what are the odds of running into John Legend's band and having him? And I asked him the next day, I said, "Did you talk to John? Did you tell him the story?" He said, "Oh yeah, he was cracking up."
Yes,
I'm glad you brought that up.
That was very funny. Just to happen to run into them a couple years later was
pretty incredible.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, and so the Atlanta Super Bowl, that was Super Bowl 53. New England won 13-3. I think 3 of the 4 we went to, New England won.
Yeah, they were in 3 of the 4.
Yeah, and that one wasn't a very exciting game.
I think it was 10-3 maybe.
Yeah.
It was like a field goal kind of game.
Yeah.
Where it was going back and forth.
It was 13-3.
13-3.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still exciting.
Fun. Yeah, it was fun, but not quite as good as the other ones.
No.
Who was the halftime show for that one? Was that
in Atlanta?
Yeah, was that Lady Gaga? Or was she in Houston? She came down from the roof.
Houston, the halftime show was Lady Gaga, where she jumped off the roof.
Right, and came down on a rope. Anyway, yeah, I mean, those 4 Super Bowls were pretty incredible, that's for sure.
Yes.
Is there any other sporting events besides those you want to talk about?
Some of the Blackhawks playoff games.
Yeah, though, I mean, some of those were very exciting.
Like that Game 7, the Blackhawks Red Wings, 2013, when
Seabrook scored.
When Seabrook scored the goal, and then they took it back.
Right.
And then Jomerson, I think it was, scored. No, actually, it was flipped around.
Yeah,
Jomerson scored the goal, and then they called it no goal.
And then
they went to overtime, and we were sitting
right there.
Right there, probably 6 rows up. And
I think we were 3 rows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he scored the game winner right there, and that game was just incredible.
Yeah, because it was a Game 7 for them to
get to the next round. And it was the Western
round.
Conference Finals to go to the Stanley Cup.
Right. Yeah, that was a pretty incredible game. Trying to think any other games.
Probably when we went to another Blackhawks game in 2015, Game 7, when we went to Anaheim.
Oh, yeah, when we flew into Anaheim and stayed at the hotel the Hawks were.
Hotel the Blackhawks were at.
So all the players, when they were getting on the bus, were all giving you the fist bumps.
Yes, that was very cool.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we were at the Game 6 in Chicago, and Taze threw me a puck. And so, on Game 7, like the night before Game 7 when we went to Anaheim, we're like, yeah, we just came here just to get the puck signed. He goes, no, you really didn't do that. We're like, no, we're going to the game. And
no, he thought it was funny because he remembered giving you the puck.
Yes.
Because he didn't hand out pucks very often. And so when he said, what are you guys doing here? And said, we just came to get your puck signed. And he just started laughing. He said, you didn't come here just for that. And we're like, no, we didn't. And he said, what are you going to do after tomorrow? And we said, go to Disneyland. What else do you do after a big game? Yeah, that was pretty exciting.
All right. Well, that's all we got for today. And thank you for listening to our unique stories we had from these events. And
well, thank you for having me as a guest,
Ryan. Thank you for joining on the show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Good memories that we're
bringing back. Yes, that was very good. All right. Thank you, and have a great day.